So can I share the funny story of our infertility journey?
Yeah,
So
I'm so ready. Yes.
okay. So this is my favorite story of the whole process. My mom had bought some books by a lady that lived in Clifton, Idaho, and that's near Preston, and Preston, Idaho is known for Napoleon Dynamite, so that kinda gives you the area and the concept.
Welcome to the Infertility Club. I am super excited for today's special guest, Alisa. Alisa and I met back in college on a study abroad trip, and we have kept in touch over all these years. And it's been so amazing seeing her journey to parenthood. And I'm so grateful she's here and willing to share her story. Hi, Alisa.
Hey, Kelsey, so good to see you.
Oh, it's so good to see you too. How are you doing this today?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
Oh,
Happy to be here with
good.
you even though I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll try my best.
Oh my gosh, I know. Well, that's kinda how it feels, like, it's something new, but you've totally got this, and I'm so grateful you're willing to share. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and dive into it and get started. Elisa, what has your journey to parenthood looked like for you?
I was thinking about this the last few days, and I can only summarize it by using the word miracle and thinking about all the kindness and the goodness of the people who surrounded me and helped me along. And I I can only describe it as a miracle. So my
Wow.
husband and I met in our late 20s and we were married. I was 29 and he was 30. And we quickly discovered that we were having a hard time having children. And we asked lots of questions and we scheduled several appointments and we went to several appointments and nobody had answers. And it was just, well, it's undefined, it's unknown, and you need to wait this amount of time or you need to do this. And as a newly married couple, both working full time, and not having any answers, there was a lot of confusion and a lot of frustration on our
Mhm.
part. But I look back and it was the beginning of a journey that was full of miracles and good people, and I couldn't have done it without them or the support of my Heavenly Father. I also consider it a spiritual journey, and there was a lot of faith involved, but there were a lot of answered prayers. And so it is a miracle, but it was a journey of faith as well.
Mhm. Oh, that's so beautiful. I'm like starting getting teary-eyed over here. Oh, Lisa, that is so beautiful and so sweet. I love that. When you guys were initially looking for answers and trying to find help, what kind of avenues did you pursue?
So we went to medical doctors and we went to fertility specialists, and there were still just not a lot of answers. When we first, before we were married, I did some research on birth control and we opted for that. And pretty soon I found out that birth control and my body did not go together very well. There were a lot of
Mhm.
problems and a lot of side effects, and so we went to doctors about that, and they just continued to say, "You need to up your dose, you need to continue." And my body was
Mm,
just rejecting that. And so
mhm.
we were not getting the answers that route, so we started to look for outside resources. I should mention that my mom is a holistic genius, and I was raised that way, and she is an incredible researcher, and she just was bound and determined to help us, and I was so grateful for that. So she would call
Oh.
quite often and say, "Have you thought of this?" or "Have you heard of this?" or "What can we do about this?" And
Mhm.
so we began that journey, and I should mention that it took us about 7 years to have our first baby boy. So it wasn't a quick
Wow.
process, and it wasn't an easy process. But in hindsight,
Mhm.
it was the perfect process to get us to where we needed to be. So we continued to see regular doctors and fertility specialists. And for us, the idea of artificial hormones just didn't feel comfortable
Mhm.
just because my body had rejected them
Mhm.
in the past. and made me so sick.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was at the point where I wanted to be healthy and to be able to function, and I was a full-time teacher, and I needed to show up in my life,
Mhm,
and so we said, "We'll put that on the back burner. If we need to come back to that, we definitely will, but we'll figure out what else to
mhm.
do." So,
Why?
it was just a journey of figuring out supplements and exercising and figuring out how to balance my hormones and get those in check, and I
Mhm.
discovered several people along the way that had just a clue, a puzzle piece that helped me at that minute, and I can't remember all of the supplements I took. Um, I
Yeah.
have a list of a few of them, but it was definitely a process along the way and several people who stepped in.
Wow, that's awesome. So during that time, was it your mom the whole time helping with ideas, or was there, like, healthcare people as well that you were seeing regularly or any of that?
So we had put just regular practitioners and infertility specialists on the back burner at that point. I was reading ferociously. If there was a book that was suggested, I read it. My mom along did the same thing. So
Yeah.
I remember I had learned about tracking my cycle and naturally doing that.
Mm,
So that's where I
mhm.
started because I could do that. And
Yeah.
still to this day, I am able to do that, and it's just become a piece of cake. It's just part of my regular daily schedule, and so it started there, and then the next thing
Mhm.
was, figuring out how to balance my hormones. I took a lot of blood tests, and we looked at those to see what we could balance, and, we just started with one supplement to the next supplement, and, just making sure my body was healthy. That was
Yeah.
the
I
starting
love
process.
I love that your mom was so cute and, like, jumped in on this journey with you. That's so sweet.
Yeah, I think she has this the gift of healing. I don't know how else to
Mhm.
put it. And
Yeah,
she's
yeah, she
curious
totally
and she's
does.
insightful, and she was able to spend time on it in a way that maybe another practitioner may not. So,
Yeah,
she
yeah, for
she was
sure.
definitely awesome in that.
Yeah, it's amazing, like, someone that's willing to put in the time and find, those resources and things that could help, that's huge, huge, and, of course, she's gonna have your best interest at heart too, she's your mom, like, that's, like, the perfect duo right there.
Yes, yes, and I know a lot of prayers were said on her behalf from other people as well, and I look back and
Cool.
I think it was amazing, and one thought I had, and this is, I think, pertinent, I remember my sister called during the middle of the process, and she said, "I want you to know that we're pregnant and we're having a baby," and she said, "I didn't know how that would impact you, if that would make you sad or if that would make you overwhelmed," and I just remember thinking, it's perfect. Heavenly Father loves all of his children, and he wants to get them here on this earth. And I was so blessed not to be offended or overwhelmed with
Mhm.
other people being able to have children along the way. And I think that was one of the biggest lessons that
Yeah.
I've learned is that people reaching out
Mhm.
or asking questions, regardless if they were thoughtful or helpful or empathetic at the time, they just cared and they didn't know exactly what to
Mhm.
say, but they were trying. And
Mhm.
I was so grateful
Yeah.
that I could look at that and say, they love me or they care enough to ask. Because there was another dynamic of
Mhm.
people in my life that just didn't know what to say, and so it was avoided. So I was really grateful that
Interesting.
people were able to ask questions or say, "Are you okay?" or "How are you doing?" or even just invite me to things, even if a baby
Mhm.
was involved, because they cared and they wanted me to be there. And I know that I was blessed to not be overwhelmed with others having babies and being successful
Yeah.
while I was not.
Yeah. That's really, really beautiful, Lisa. And I think that is such a really important thing to remember a lot of times is like everyone they're just people just care and they just love us. And so sometimes, yeah, they don't know how to say things, but in the end, if we look back and think, oh, they're just trying to be involved in our life and tell us they love us in their own way. And look at that, then it's like, oh, it totally changes that mind swap of just being like, oh my gosh, they care about me. Like I feel so loved. And yeah, I think it's so many times how we look at it or that mindset. And that's so beautiful.
And I think everybody has our own journey and we have feelings and we need to
Yeah.
feel those and we need to experience
Wow.
those. But we have power to act rather than be acted upon and just realize that people love us and to take that in and know that they want us to be happy. And we can be happy even in the midst of infertility. There can be joy even in the midst of infertility. And I look back and I was grateful that I learned that lesson because there was so much joy. And I was married to the love of my life. And we had great adventures and we were learning together. And I think that's important to remember. Life doesn't need to stop.
For sure, for sure. It really doesn't. Was there anything that you and Nick did to look forward to, or things that you guys would plan to do together to keep hopeful during all of this?
I think there was just a lot of prayers. Nick comes from a large family. We just received a new nephew this week and my mother-in-law said that was baby number 28 on that side of the family.
Wow.
I come up from a family of 7, and I don't know the exact number, but there's a lot of people, and, it was just fun to be an aunt and uncle. It was fun to be involved, and our siblings were good to involve us and include us, and and we could do that. We could share gifts, we could show up, we could do special things that their parents couldn't. We could step in and help. So, I think that was
Mhm.
fun. Plus, we were just having fun being married. We love to be around each other and we love to go and
Yeah.
do things, so life continued on and I look back and I really
Oh.
appreciate that we had the miracle of joy in our marriage as well.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful.
So can I share the funny story of our infertility journey?
Yeah,
So
I'm so ready. Yes.
okay, so this is my favorite story of the whole process. So, my mom had bought some books by a lady that lived in Clifton, Idaho. And that's near Preston,
Mhm.
and Preston, Idaho is known for Napoleon Dynamite, right? So that kinda gives you
Oh,
the area and the
awesome.
concept. And I should say that
Movie
I live in
second.
Idaho. I literally live in the middle of Idaho, and our town maybe has 600 people on a good day, and it's just that's where I live, so that's kind of the community. So when she was telling me about this lady and this lady's business, I was like, "Oh, that is so interesting." And my mom is just so curious. She's like, "I read her book and I just had to reach out to her. I had to ask the questions." So she called this lady in Clifton, Idaho, who has this business. And my mom called and she said, "This lady wants to talk to you. You need to call her." And so I said, "Okay, I'll call her and talk to her." And this lady is a naturalist and now she has an essential oil company. And so I called her and I talked to her and she suggested 2 herbs, lobelia and false unicorn. I had never heard of these things in my entire life, and I looked online and they were just a few dollars each. I was like, "Sure, I'll give it a try." That was the stage I was at in life. And we talked for a bit and she said, "Oh, infertility is just a struggle wherever we go," and she had been traveling around. She said these supplements were just really helpful, and so I was like, "Sure, I'll spend $10 and we'll give it a go. We have nothing to lose at this point." And so I got off the phone, and a few weeks later, my sister called and said, "I have a book that you need to read." And I was like, "Sweet, what is it called?" And she was telling me it's called Educated. And it was a book about a daughter who had grown up in Clifton, Idaho, with parents who used supplements and did different things. And pretty soon this book blew up. Everybody had read Educated. and I am not going to criticize or critique or analyze the book at this point, but I was like, "Sure, I'll read it." And my mom heard the conversation and she said, "Alisa, do you know about this book?" I was like, "I have no clue I don't know anything about this book." And she was like, "You talked to the mother. That's who you talked to on the phone. That was the lady." So the author of Educated, I had talked to her mom, and the mom in that book is portrayed very differently than the lady I spoke to on the phone. And so I read the book and
Interesting.
I thought it was really fascinating, and the mom has since come out with a book and I've read that, and here I am analyzing the book a little bit. I think the truth of Educated and the mother lies a little bit in the middle. So, anyhow, I had
Interesting.
talked to the
Yeah.
mother and she had told me about a few things, so we went for it. And this was probably 6 years into our fertility journey, just trying to have a family. And so I tried these drops, and within a couple of months, we were pregnant
Oh my goodness.
just because,
Was that so exciting?
and I don't have, like, scientific evidence that it was those supplements, and I don't know exactly what it was, but I just that's my great story. The crazy mother from Educated may have blessed my life
Oh
and
my
helped me have a
gosh.
baby. So,
That's pretty amazing.
yeah. So I don't know if anybody's heard of Educated. Um, and to this day, I've never met her in person, but they sell some amazing supplements and some tinctures that have helped me with my hormones, keep me going, and have kept me healthy. So I just that crazy mom from Educated helped my life.
Wow. That's pretty
So
awesome.
that's my funny story.
That's a really good story. That's a really good one, Elisa. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful though that there was something though that felt like it was able to help. That's
Yeah, and
wonderful.
I don't know exactly, and that's kind of the hard thing, with supplements, you don't know,
Mhm.
but it may have been a piece that really
Yeah.
helped, and it may not have, but it's fun to laugh along the way, and I should say up to this point, we the previous few years, we had several miscarriages as well, so it wasn't all just joyful or
No.
happy, there were some really, really hard moments, and
Mhm.
not knowing how to react, and recently I went to a couple therapy appointments because I think therapy is a huge
That's
blessing,
awesome.
and we were kind of talking
Oh, me
about it,
too.
and I just I'm so grateful that I could learn how to be more empathetic, and I learned
Mm.
how to be aware of people and
Mhm.
to be aware of how they're feeling and to watch for that. Because I remember being so sad and so devastated at points
Mhm.
and so physically hurt. Like your body just
Yeah.
cannot figure it out. And there were people along the way that just reached out to me and blessed my life and fed me
Mm.
spiritually and physically and emotionally. So,
Oh. That's beautiful. One thing I love about you, Elisa, is I feel like you look for that light. And because you're looking for it, you find it. And it's really beautiful. And I think that's something I can learn from you is just finding those pieces of light through those moments because those are some hard things you went through. Uh, that's hard.
yeah, and it's not only hard for me, it was really hard for my husband too. And knowing how to think
Hmm.
about that or to feel those feelings, I think that's one of the hardest human
Hmm.
challenges. It's just sitting with our
Yeah.
feelings and knowing that
Yeah.
it's okay not to be okay sometimes. But then you can wake up
Mhm.
and you can try
Yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah, for sure, and just finding those ways to be able to somehow keep going.
Mhm. And, uh, since I have 2 boys now, they are 6 and 4, and we did not struggle with our 2nd pregnancy. He was a miracle, I guess Heavenly Father knew that my 2 boys needed each other, and I'm so grateful for them, but we've not been able to have any more children since. But I'm grateful
Mm.
for the 2 boys that I have, and I'm a really old mom too. So, I've learned to take things in stride and to appreciate them, and I think I'm a better mom, and Heavenly Father knew there was a period of time that would be best suited for me to be their mom. I'm better because of it, so
Oh. Oh, that's beautiful. Isn't it amazing kind of looking at things kind of after they've happened and have been like, oh, I know going through that was frustrating, or I was trying to figure out the way or navigating it. And then looking back, it's like, oh, Heavenly Father knew this was what would work out for us. Like, and it's beautiful to see that. And, sometimes it's hard to see in those moments, but, looking after and being like, oh my gosh, this all worked out. It's okay. It's okay.
yeah, and that's what I was going to say about therapy is looking back, it worked out exactly how it was supposed to work out. And I love the concept that we are exactly where we're meant to be today at this moment.
Mm,
And if you're not comfortable with that,
yeah.
you can change it. But today we're exactly where we're meant to be. And then we can move forward and get to where we need to be the next day. So I love looking back and seeing all the miracles. And as I was thinking about this process, and I said this at the beginning as well, I'm just really humbled. I'm really grateful for each
Mm,
step, regardless if it was a really hard step that day or a really good step.
mhm.
And because it created the person that I am meant to be today. And I should say I was teaching junior high full time through that entire process. So there were a
Oh,
lot of
well,
hormones
that's pretty
going on.
amazing.
Yeah, a lot of hormones.
What is a lot of hormones. That is.
But
Oh my
they
goodness.
cracked me up, and it was a good part of my life. So,
Oh, that is so great. That is so funny. But I bet too, going to school and having those kids too, like that was a good kind of mental distraction too.
sure, sure, they had no
For-
clue what was happening in my personal life. They had no clue what was happening outside of school. But when we're taking care of others, and being a junior high teacher is definitely full of service because you have to love them if you're gonna be there. When we serve others and when
Mhm.
we're aware of others, that lifts the burden off our own shoulders,
Yeah,
and
yeah, it really does. It really does. It makes our burdens lighter for sure, and it helps distract our minds and focus on the bigger picture. And there's so many wonderful things about being able to serve others.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of fun. It's
Oh,
kind of fun. And then, even looking back, when we were able to get pregnant and stay pregnant, because that was another challenge in and of itself. Uh, I hit every marker for a high risk pregnancy, and so pregnancy wasn't necessarily an easy process as well. But once again,
wow.
I saw joy in that, and just I remember when I was able to hear the heartbeat, and
Um,
it was strong and it was solid. And I remember I was able to breathe. I feel like that was maybe a moment
mm,
I was able to breathe in a really, really long time. And so
no,
that was really a powerful experience. So, as
for
I review
sure.
my whole fertility process, I just think that the hand of my Heavenly Father was involved. He knew what I needed to
Mm,
learn. He placed the perfect people in my path along the way. I had dear friends like you and other people who loved me so well. And I had a husband who was an incredible support. And we learned a lot about each other because we both were experiencing it at the same time. And it brought me to this moment, and I have never been so tired in my life being a parent, and my greatest vulnerabilities and weaknesses have been exposed as a parent,
Me too. Me
and
too.
I pray and I am better connected to my mother because I understand the value of prayer and wanting to help your children, and
Mhm.
I am so grateful that I am here today.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Lisa. Oh, you're just so wonderful. I just feel such
Well,
warmth and happiness when I hear from you.
oh,
This
you're
is
so
so
kind.
beautiful.
I remember I
Oh,
was pregnant with my first baby and we went on a trip, and I had to sit on a tennis ball. It was so painful, but you were so kind and we did it. So,
you were amazing. You you charged to do that and you did so good. Oh my
so do you have any
goodness.
specific
Oh.
questions for me?
I know, I was just thinking about you and Nick when things were tough and, just if you had any advice for couples bonding together or coming together.
So, I married the most wonderful cowboy, and feeling feelings was maybe quite unnatural for him. So, that was interesting, and I'm very much an introverted person, so I think deeply, but it's all within my head and in my heart. I don't articulate that
Mhm.
or share that often, so we both had separate feelings, and it took work. It took conscious effort on our part to say, "What is it that you're feeling today?"
Mhm.
Or,
Mhm.
"What can we do today to help each other out?" And for him, he has
Mhm.
hobbies that he enjoys, and I realized
Mhm.
that he needed to do that. He loves roping, he loves being a cowboy, and
Mhm.
just finding things that made us happy and continue on with that. And I still can't say we're the
Yeah.
best communicators, we're still working at it because we still have the same characteristics, but
Mhm.
just being willing to open and being vulnerable when those moments show up. And putting your phones away, I think, at night has been really helpful. Just putting them away and then being there for each other because that's kind of when we could come together.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, those phones, that's been the biggest thing for us too. We've made a charging station that's not in our room. So like our phones aren't allowed in there at bedtime. It is because it's the only time we can have a second to talk sometimes. So that's
Yeah.
a big deal.
Yeah. And I think having good people too. So he would have friends. He may not express everything to them, but knowing that he had somebody that he could open up to if he needed to was great, and vice versa for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Creating that support group.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's huge. I feel like that really makes a big difference. It has in my life at least.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And something else that I recognize, and I thought about this with my mom too, and not everybody's experience is the same as mine, but
Mhm.
when I was open to people offering suggestions, it maybe would work or it would not work,
Mhm.
but just me being open to them and listening to them, even if it was their great-granddaughter who finally had a baby, if they needed to share that story with me and maybe offer a suggestion, listening to that really helped me because that was an experience that was important to them, and maybe they had a suggestion and I could take that suggestion and run with it, or maybe it didn't quite work.
Mhm.
But being open to people's
Mhm.
suggestions really blessed my life during that time as well.
Mhm. Oh, that's amazing. Well, I remember you saying you found little puzzle pieces and stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's kind of, or little pieces, and I think that's where by you being open and be willing to listen, and I think that's really big because there's so many things that, people have insights and different ideas, and they might have a something that can spark an idea. It might be something totally different than what they're
Yeah,
saying, but it can spark an idea of being like, "Oh, what about that?"
yeah, and just trying it. Some
Oh.
of them, they just didn't fit us, they didn't work. We couldn't travel to certain places for
Mhm.
fertility specialists at that time, but just listening and being open blessed my life, and I love those people. I love that they were willing to open up and to share that with me, so
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Do you have any advice for anyone going through infertility and looking for hope?
I think figuring out how to act in your life rather than feel like the world is working against you is a great step.
Mm.
It's really hard. It's really hard
Mhm.
to think about what you're thinking and figuring out how those thoughts are impacting your life. But if you can write down what you're
Mhm.
thinking and figuring out if that's true or not, if it's just something that you're creating,
Mhm.
that's really helpful. I've kind of offered suggestions along
Mhm.
the way. I believe in a
Yeah.
heavenly Father who loves us perfectly. And I believe that he wants us to feel joy and to feel success. And sometimes to appreciate those feelings, we have to feel challenged and we have to feel sadness and despair. But that's what brings us to him and allows us to connect to his son, Jesus Christ. Because I have a testimony that through Christ, all things are possible. And their plan is perfect for us, even if we aren't sure or we're sure how it will end up. It will end up exactly how it's supposed to if we are willing to show up and do our part. I think we need to be active participants. I think you need to ask a lot of questions. I think you need to do a lot of research. And I think you need to be open to different ideas, whether it's holistically or
Mm.
whether it's normal medicine or infertility specialists. Everybody's story is different. But if you're willing to follow the clues or put the puzzle pieces together, you will arrive and it will work out. And some people don't always receive their dream the way that they hoped or the way that they want it to look. But that doesn't mean it is over or our life is over. We can still show up. I think there just has to be hope every single day that it will work out.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I don't
thank
know
you
if I'm
so
really
much,
that
Elise.
intelligent or insightful.
Oh, are you kidding? It's so, so beautiful and such beautiful words of wisdom. Thank you so much. Oh, is there anything else you'd like to share or anything
I
before we
can't
wrap?
think of anything at this time. It's such a process. And I remember watching your
Yeah,
story with
it
Jake,
is.
and it was completely different. You
Mhm.
had to go through a different process than we did. But what I remember too was that there was joy
Mhm.
in your experience as well. There was sadness and there were challenges,
Oh,
but
for
there were
sure.
joy,
Yeah.
and you did it together.
Mhm. It will.
So,
Mm. It does, and it brings you together, and it makes everything feel so, I think a lot of times, like, things that I've worked hard for, it just makes the payoff so much more exciting, like, I just feel like I appreciate things a lot more than I think I would've.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I appreciate being a mom more, in those moments of, crying kids or sad or, things like that. I feel like, I'm like, I've prayed for this for years and this is
Yeah.
my answer right here. Like these beautiful miracle kids are here. And so I need to soak it up and enjoy every moment, no matter what it is. And, it doesn't mean it's easy, doesn't mean I do great, I'm constantly it's constantly a uh,
It's a process. Everything's a process.
reevaluating. Yeah, process, but yeah. Oh, but
And
it's
we're so
amazing, and I'm so grateful that there are so many options. What were you
Yeah,
gonna
and
say?
we're so grateful when they're asleep at night. I have the most energetic little boys,
Oh,
and
yes.
I love them, but when they finally go to sleep at night, it's like, "Oh my goodness, we did it."
Woo. Right. Yes, yes, it is. It's an accomplishment, when those kids are in bed, it's like and then someone wakes up to go to the bathroom. It starts all over.
Yes. Oh, there's
Oh,
joy in the journey, but I
oh,
love the primary song that says, "God gave us families to help us become what he wants us to be," and I know that's true.
oh, I definitely agree. That's so beautiful. Well, Elisa, if anyone wants to connect or reach out to you, is there a good spot to do that?
I am not really on social media a whole lot, but you could, send a message. My Instagram is Reynolds Range, so you're welcome to reach out with any questions, but that's where I'm at.
Oh, thank you so much, Elisa. I'm so grateful for you being willing to share and just so many miracles along the way. And I'm just grateful you shared those tender mercies. And thank you so much for being here and providing so much hope. And I'm so grateful. Thank you, Elisa.
You're welcome, Kelsey. Thanks for letting me be on your program. You're amazing.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us here at the Infertility Club. Don't forget, you got this. For more hope, support, and positivity, watch this next video.